All right, YouTube. Barack Obama has endorsed Hillary Clinton. No, really? I thought he was going to endorse Donald Trump. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out why a warmongering, police state friendly Democrat would endorse a warmongering, police state friendly Democrat. I can't think of any reason why. I think it has more to do with the fact that Hillary came in second fiddle in 2008. She had to wait her turn because people just didn't want to deal with her. And, this reactions run the gamut from the slightly optimistic, oh, she'll get a boost now, certainly, because Barack Obama, after all, has been one of our most beloved presidents. He never did anything wrong, to chuckling about this, saying, was there any real doubt that she was going to get endorsed by Obama? I mean, after the last set of primaries, it's fairly clear she has indeed won the contest. Sanders, apparently his staff was warning Obama, oh, don't interfere in this, don't get involved. But I mean, the writing's on the wall. Hate to say it to the people who support Bernie, he's lost the nomination race. He's now way too far behind after coming in quite a bit behind in California. He can't make up that lost ground. No amount of a miracle short of her being indicted by the FBI is now going to actually get him the spot as the Democratic nominee. By the way, to all the Drudge people and Breitbart people who say, oh, well, Hillary might still get indicted, don't hold your breath. If they were going to indict Hillary Clinton, they already would have done so. She'd already be questioned over and over. She'd probably be in a jail cell by now. She's not going to get indicted for what she did with her emails. Any normal person, yeah, they would have been thrown in the gulag by now. This is Hillary Clinton. We all know that Billary does not generally face proper repercussions for criminal behavior. And that's exactly what it was. If you were to try to do what Madam Hillary did, you'd be in a jail cell. Well, it's not going to happen. She's Hillary Clinton, so she's exonerated automatically. What's going to end up being a bigger issue on the email scandal is the feeling of independent voters about the email scandal. It's not going to be the scandal itself. It's not like she actually has to worry about getting thrown in jail or getting fined or anything like that. Or, I mean, she'll just chalk it up to a vast right-wing conspiracy and the partisans will shut up. But you've got to realize something. The number of Democratic partisans that was present when Bill was running for office was far higher than the number of Democratic partisans as a total of the population, as a ratio, as an actual percentage of the population. Far lower now than it was in the 1990s. Just like the Republican core is smaller, the number of Republican partisans that can be counted on to vote for whoever the Republican nominee is far smaller now. The Democratic partisans, likewise, the same. Independent voters are now a much larger voting bloc than they were. They are now larger than either of the partisan voting blocs. I think the percentage of the population that labels itself partisan Democrats like 34%. Partisan Republicans, I think, is like 29% or something. That leaves an enormous core of the population that does not identify really that strongly with either party. That's the core group that's going to decide the election, especially younger independents who are still on the fence. Many of them have swung to Trump. Many of them are supporting Johnson. That's the other issue. Johnson's presence in the campaign is sapping Hillary of a good 5 points that she would have in some of the bluer states. That's one of the reasons Pennsylvania and Michigan right now are swing states. It's not all Trump's doing. It's partially Hillary's weakness, partially Trump's strength, and partially the fact that for the first time in a generation, there's a third-party candidate in the race who actually is registering above 1 or 2% in some of these polls, because that hasn't happened in recent memory. You go back to Ross Perot, you can see one of the results, but this time, the person on that third-party platform probably is more friendly towards what Democrats would want and is going to rob more votes from them than from Republicans. Of course, Ross Perot was the opposite. It's partially why people said, oh, well, Clinton was handed the election by Ross Perot. Well, kind of, not really, but that's the scapegoat that they used. He was just a stronger candidate at the time, let's face it. But as for Hillary getting the endorsement of Obama, it means nothing. Literally, I mean, think of the sort of people who are going to take this endorsement seriously. They're going to be Democratic partisans and Democratic-leaning independents who probably, by and large, were already on board with Hillary Clinton anyway. It's not going to help with the progressive. The progressives have already abandoned Obama for the most part. There are some that are kind of ambivalent. They say, well, he's black, so we can't criticize him too much because then we're evil, racist, cis scumlords or something. Other than that, they were all on board with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is quite clearly getting shafted, and I think that Obama may have made a tactical error here in coming out and doing this before the DC primary, before the thing is truly done. Coming out while the race is technically still going on gives ammo to all the Bernie Sanders supporters. They're going to say, why is he interfering? Why is the sitting president trying to affect the outcome of the primaries? Now, it may be a long-standing tradition that the sitting president can do that if they want to, and there's no harm, no foul. But the Bernie bros clearly have broken with convention when it comes to the reasoning that they use within the primary race. For instance, they want to jerry-rig Bernie Sanders in as the candidate anyway, despite the fact that Hillary Clinton is now far, far ahead in the popular vote. Indeed, her lead in the popular vote is greater overall than her lead in delegates, even with the superdelegates tallied in there. So, I mean, as far as democratic process, oh, well, this isn't proper, everything's wrong. She's gotten millions more votes than Sanders has. Now, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I think she's a dishonest, lying piece of shit scumbag who should really be in a detention center right now. I don't think she should be the commander-in-chief. I don't care if there's a female president. It sure as hell shouldn't be Hillary Clinton because it'll tarnish the legacy of females in the presidency irreparably and forever. Hillary Clinton, if you think there are problems with Obama, Hillary Clinton magnifies them many times over. For somebody like me who's not on board with Obama, thus those problems are magnified even more. But Obama's endorsement isn't going to help with the Bernie bros. It's not going to help with independents that by and large don't care about Obama. It's certainly not going to help with Republicans. It might help with somebody like John Boehner, who appears to like Obama more than most members of his own party, because he too is a globalist. Other than that, though, it's really not going to be helpful to her campaign. She'll gain a couple points from it, but is it enough? I mean, when Trump is now virtually tied with her in Pennsylvania and not far behind in Michigan, he's taken the lead in Florida, he already had it in Ohio and Indiana, things are looking bad for the Hillary camp. Everyone made light of the fact that Trump's only 8 points ahead in Utah. Oh my God, that should be a safe red state. That is far greater than her lead in a recently blue state like Michigan. And nobody wants to talk about that. They keep saying, oh, the election needs to swing 5 or 6 points overall in Trump's favor for him to actually win the election. Not really. No, ultimately it doesn't. And to complain about him going after blue states like California, I hate to tell you this, but if his stratagem in the general works half as well as it did during the primaries, in which he crushed his competition despite the fact that everyone thought that he was a joke and said that everything that he did was a mistake and he still won anyway, if that stratagem holds up even to a half degree, he will win the general election and he could start turning blue states red. It is within the realm of possibility. Look at the polling from Connecticut. Hillary should be 20 points ahead there. She's ahead by, I think it was 7 or 8 points. That's not good news for Hillary Clinton. I'm going to stick to my guns here and say I don't care whether Trump is behind nationally by a couple of points or if he's trailing a point or two in some of these important swing states. It doesn't even matter. It's nowhere near November yet. He's got months and months to campaign. It doesn't matter if he has a deficit in money. That wasn't a hindrance in the primaries. And just think about what a free-for-all it'll be at the debates. Bernie Sanders will not be the Democratic nominee. Oddly enough, Sanders, while I still would have given the advantage to Trump, would have been a far better candidate to run against somebody like Donald Trump, because Hillary Clinton is the literal face. She is the most establishment person within politics eligible to run. Other than someone like Obama or Bush would be ahead. Other than that, it's Hillary Clinton. Maybe John Kerry would be a close second. Hillary Clinton is the most establishment face you could possibly put on the Democratic ticket in a year where increasingly people have abandoned partisanship for independent politicking, are jumping to third parties, are supporting candidates who had no real mainstream backing, are openly disdainful towards the entire mainstream media, and even now increasingly like the second-tier media, like the Salons or something, or Breitbart or something like that. to the point where Drudge now has overtaken all these other right-wing sort of online publications for the first time since the literal Clinton era back under Bill's leadership in the 1990s. It's astonishing the degree to which things have already changed in not really even a year, and they're going to keep changing. I have no reason to believe that the same things that I've observed already will continue to be wrong. And Trump's Twitter, which I'll do a video on later, trust me, guarantee you there's no problem, is part of that. His social media presence is a big part of why I see a huge advantage for Trump. You may choose to believe that that's not true. I still have people, just like for months and months, I had people saying Cruz will steal the show, Rubio at the end of the day will get in there somehow, Trump will be stopped on Super Tuesday, it's a one-off, he'll never win South Carolina, Kasich has this in the bag, Jeb Bush will magically come back. He'll run as an independent and win somehow. People told me this for months and months. I spent almost a year with people telling me that everything that I thought couldn't possibly happen. I was right. I'm telling you that I expect Trump to win the election. I expect him to win the election. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. If it had been Sanders, it would have been closer. There would have been some concern there. As far as Trump fans having to worry about a geriatric socialist, specifically because of his outsider status. But they're running somebody to him. Think about it this way. Who was one of the first major opponents that Trump destroyed? It was Jeb, the literal face of the Republican establishment, the new herald of the Bush family, with $120 million backing him, with hundreds of major endorsements. And he was one of the first to go. It wasn't Cruz, the sort of kind outsider. It wasn't Rubio, the young upstart insider. It wasn't Kasich, the governor that was just there to eat. It wasn't Ben Carson. It wasn't any of these. No. The first one, almost, was Jeb. He was one of the first to leave, as far as people who were viable to begin with. So it would have made much more sense, and an outsider could have possibly challenged him. Somebody like Hillary can't. She's operating in a totally different world. She's operating as though it is 2.5 decades ago. She will not win the election. That's about all. Peace out.